Got it. You got that, the oversized. I'm at work today, so you got the oversized self-portrait, which I
like
think
that.
for me, I don't know if we talked about this before, is a joke. Like it's
Mhm.
the idea that there's a sort of this very not poorly drawn, but like stylistic version of myself behind me at my desk, but it's like on plywood and stuff. Like it's a joke on power, right?
Yeah.
And I oh wait, 1 second. Hi Andrew.
Hi, Brandon.
Start that timer. And sometimes like I feel like
Boom.
jokes like I also bought that coyote heart when we had that show
Yes.
so I could put it on
Is
my
it? Oh, is
desk.
it still in your office?
It's not in my office yet. It's at my house because it's
Yeah.
hard to transport and it makes you nervous. Like a
Yeah.
glass heart in like no, excuse me, a real heart in a glass jar in formaldehyde makes you nervous. You know what I mean? Like it's really
It
like
does. Yeah.
something about it is like I really like you don't think it's gonna break, and they did a really good job. And I want to be clear, it was humanely gotten. Like that's what they tell me at least. I have no reason not to believe that vendor. Uh, but like you look at it and you're like,
Yeah.
this seems dangerous. And
It could be dangerous. Yeah.
I don't eat meat at all. So like it's for me, it's like ew, but also like I feel like I earned that ew a little bit more.
Sure.
And I see people, they're like, ew, and I'm like, you look at me all the time. It's not different. It's just an
Mm.
organ. Um, but yeah, like a glass jar filled with a heart and formaldehyde. It's a scary
Yeah. I mean,
travel,
it's
you know?
yeah. It's it's not like you're you've always got that danger when you're transporting groceries, but I mean, like this is sort of taken to the next level.
Yeah, it's something you really like you feel when it's and also, and I don't know if you ever have this, working in the arts, every once in a while you have the if I get pulled over right now, this is gonna be hard to explain away.
Oh
Like,
yeah. Yeah, like some of the costumes I've been wearing, which I'm sure you also, some of the
oh
costumes,
yeah.
we wear for theater or whatever. It's like
Yeah, I mean, you'll be done up at 2 a.m. and they're like, "You a streetwalker?" And you're like, "No, no, sir. I've
just finished the show.
just finished the show." And it's
Yeah.
kind of people are still paying for my time, but it is kind of different.
Well, I'm particularly attracted to the beach house and what looks like a tire in your background.
Oh no! So the beach house is welcome to
Mhm.
our beach house,
Mhm.
and then the tire is a remake of the
Oh,
Duchamp.
okay, nice.
It's on a stool that I put, and I just keep a Duchamp the Duchamp tire piece just in my office.
Mhm.
This is also this is also it's an action podcast. This is all my art is now falling on me. This is a
Yeah.
visual metaphor. Uh, but this is
Actually,
all
well, the angle that it was at, it looked like a car tire before.
yeah. Well,
Now,
no, it's a wheel.
yeah,
This is really high quality podcasting. This is what you
I
want.
know. Well, no,
On
now I
point.
can see it. Now I can see it's a bike wheel, but like the angle was at before, it looked like a huge car tire.
It's just it's just still falling. It's still falling on me. Give me a second.
This is like I'm glad you took a field trip to your office today.
Yeah, no, I have an office that's pretty hidden, so I just kind of put
Mhm.
stuff in it that no one cares about. Like it's full of stuff that people barely care about. I have my
Mhm.
jump rope, my mouse trap, because you got to build a better mouse trap.
Mhm.
And this is not what I was hoping to talk about at all. I like sat down and I had a plan,
Did
and
we
then
have
my
a
work
plan?
started to attack me. Okay, now we're back. And the wheel is just going to be in here. I think I did a better job than Duchamp. That is a joke. You don't do a better job than Duchamp. But I think I did a better job because I added, let's see if you can see them. I added paper clips to it. And the
Mhm.
paper clips sort of move if you spin it, and there's an implication of movement on it. So I
Yeah,
think I really upped Duchamp's ante.
it's probably a better quality tire as well
I
than
mean,
his.
no, it's actually not. If you look at Duchamp's tire,
Oh,
it's
it's
a
not.
really good bike tire.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, like they really did not. He really did not go light on that bike
Hmm.
tire. It's an excellent bike tire. Don't
All
worry.
right. Well, I have new respect for him then.
Yeah, I just I'm a huge fan. Like Duchamp is one
Oh
of my
yeah, yeah.
guys.
No, of
I
course.
think
Yeah.
about his work a lot, and like
Mhm.
one of my favorite stickers I ever made. It's a picture of this piece actually, and it just says "Oh shoot, now what?" Because really, Duchamp is the first. People are like, man, art can be whatever you want it to be. Duchamp is the first guy who showed up and went, whatever I want it to be, I'm gonna get weird.
Yeah.
Look at this shovel. It's a shovel. And he's more funny than people give him credit
Mhm.
to. Like he did those series of snow shovels.
Mhm.
And the title of it is Prelude to a Broken Back, which is like that's a joke. That's a joke. It's visually
Yeah.
a joke. I think you have to give yourself some space. And let's
Yeah.
talk about art for a second. Now that everything hasn't gone wrong, that you could tell jokes. I think
Mhm.
that jokes are art, and you should make
Yeah.
sure you let yourself tell jokes. I don't know
Well,
what
and
kind of
that's kind
cheese.
of what?
I'm going so wrong over here. I am hitting everything. I am knocking everything over.
It's fine.
This is another reason I can't have a heart on my desk.
Right, exactly. It's gonna, the president's gonna come visit you in the office, and you're gonna have a heart. Not
I
only will he have a heart on the desk, but you're gonna knock it over as well.
Wait, do you mean like of the college or the United States?
Well, I mean, hey, either one, with
Either one,
a
really.
man, a
You
man,
don't want to break a heart in front of the president
yeah,
of the college or the United States.
yeah. I mean, a man of your position, it could be either one. So
I know people who've
I
met the
know.
president.
So I was gonna say, like, uh, what was I gonna say? Actually, I totally forgot.
I couldn't.
Yeah. The thing about humor. Yeah. So going back to that. Yeah. Well, so that's the interesting thing I think about art is that I think when you have like a serious prof yeah, I don't know. Okay, we've had so many jokes. So I mean, it's not jokes. We've had so many conversations on podcasts, that we know that we don't take our art too seriously. But I think that the perception is that art should be taken seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and a certain kind of music, like classical music, art music, avant-garde music, should be taken seriously, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're right. I think a lot more people in those fields have sense of humors than people give him credit for. I mean, like we talked about John Cage. John Cage, definitely sense of humor there. Now we're talking to Duchamp, and I think the problem is that it kind of gets masked a little bit. Like people aren't looking for the humor, they're looking for profoundness, I think.
Yeah. And I also think that people, especially with the more avant-garde stuff, they want to be laughing at it. They
Yeah.
desperately want to be laughing at it. And I feel like, especially with Cage, like there's this idea that we've talked about Cage a lot, and we
Mhm.
might have talked about this before, but I think it's worth bringing up again. I think Cage was it like there's no indication that Cage wasn't in on the joke, that it was kind of ridiculous. Now, was he serious about his craft? Was he serious about his ideas?
Mhm.
I think there's a difference between being serious about your craft and your ideas and being serious about your
Yeah,
presentation.
absolutely.
Like I think people want to laugh at strange art so much that they don't know that oftentimes people are having a good time as well.
Mhm.
And
and
you're
and to
allowed to
recognize
do
that it's
both.
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay. I mean, it's actually and I think this kind of goes for like really any field, but it's kind of like, I like I said, I think people in this particular aspect, I think people are looking for something to be profound, It's
Mhm.
like do you remember that band LMFAO?
Yes, I remember LMFA.
Yeah. So I remember, like, I mean, I don't know if it was a podcast or whatever, that I heard an interview or maybe a magazine or something. But something they said really struck me. Like they were like people they were really annoyed. People kept saying, like, yeah, it's a joke band, it's a joke band. They said, like, we're not a joke band. We're a serious band that writes joke songs,
Hmm.
and that actually like really stood out to me. I like, okay, that means a lot. You take your craft seriously. Just because you're writing jokes, doesn't mean you're not taking it seriously.
I am in full agreement with that. And I think it's an easy way to be dismissive of
Yeah.
something, to go,
Mhm.
oh, it's a joke. But like I think it is funny that we do not often think about the time and difficulty that it is to construct a good joke.
Mhm.
Like a good joke is not something that's easy. And usually I've been on a little bit of a kick. Do you know what a street joke is?
Uh, Probably not in
You
your
do. A
context.
street joke
Okay.
is two guys walk into a bar, second guy should have ducked.
Oh, okay.
They are usually not written. They
Yeah.
are word of mouth. They are little bits of
Gotcha.
entertainment. Oftentimes, they can play with racism and sexism in gross ways, but
Yeah.
that's not necessarily the case.
Hmm.
They're a joke that they don't really have a writer. There's no like
Okay.
guy who wrote it. It's just a thing that you end up passing along. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Another one is two whales walk into a bar. First whale says, "Oh," and the second whale says, "Go home, Larry. You're drunk."
Gotcha.
What's great about they're I'm fascinated with them as
Mhm.
tiny little widgets. Like that's what
Mhm.
they really are. Is they're little things that you can play with, and they're not, and they're tricky. They're actually I actually think they're a lot trickier to tell. Like, oh, I can't tell a joke. A good street joke is trickier to tell than people give it credit for, because you're dealing with expectation and pulling back. And I think there's a level of craft in those that illustrates that there can be a level of craft in those that illustrates saying that something is a joke is not the insult you think it is.
Right. Mhm.
And I think you can argue that there is sometimes too much weight put on humor in the other direction, when like all comedians are truth tellers. Like, not really. They're just trying
Mhm.
to get up there and say jokes. But I think many comedians are doing interesting things with words, logic, language, and storytelling.
Mhm.
And that's more interesting to me than telling it like it is and being a truth teller. Because I
Yeah.
think that, it is all art, and I can say this very, very confidently. All art is a game, and it is a game of taking yourself seriously enough to not take yourself so seriously.
Mhm.
And that is such a hard place to be, because I think the word pretentious is a useless word.
Mhm.
You if you are ever giving a critique of something, saying that it is pretentious is stupid. This is why it's stupid, because by definition, pretentious means to try to be something more than what it is. And
Mhm.
I would argue that all art is trying to be more than what it is. So you're just saying the obvious. What you're trying to say, and so if you take that word out of your language, you end up with more interesting critique.
Mhm.
So take it out and say, well, I think this is self-serious in a way that is unearned.
Mhm.
That's a more interesting way of saying it. And I think we are all in our art trying to be, you don't want to be a joke band, but you want to write jokes. And that's it's a very hard trick to pull off, is to be of the world, and in the upper echelons of thought as well, and trying to pull that together. And all art, even street jokes, you're still trying to pull some, we are doing something noble by trying to be pretentious. There is something noble in
Mhm.
in being pretentious,
Mhm.
because you are trying to be more than you are. And
Mhm.
isn't that always the goal? And you're also trying to take something that is more and show it to people. And you have an endless, you have all the tools in the whole wide world. I'm so sorry, we are doomed. Like, that's what makes it so tough and so interesting, is
Yeah.
it is a doable thing. Um, and all of my art fell on me today. So don't take anything I say too seriously, because
Yeah.
my desk imploded in on me as I was talking. Um, but I think, and I think that's why I am so interested in humor in
Mhm.
art, is because art is by and humor that is not art that is not humor that is in art are two very different things. I'm not talking necessarily about
Yeah.
stand-up or comedy, now that I don't love those things. I'm talking about things that aren't those things, that are taking the vocabulary and the um essence, I'm trying to say, when I say essence,
Yeah. Yeah.
the feeling of what humor does. That's an
Yeah.
interesting thing to play with. And I think there's a lot to it. And oftentimes it is overplayed. And
Mhm.
oftentimes the people who wear glasses for a living um, are a little too excited by it. But it doesn't, just because they're too excited by it, doesn't negate the goodness that it is.
Yeah. Well, and also I think that unlike, and I know that there is some stand up, that is a little bit broader, but I'm like, there's a certain kind of stand up that is like joke, 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 right? And like
Mhm.
the point of it is to make jokes, so unlike that, I think that, you can find art and music that it's not all a joke all the time, and it's not all serious all the time. And so, the lines are a little bit more blurred. And so if there's a joke that's sort of snuck in, it might be um a little bit more hidden, or
Mhm.
uh not quite as obvious, a little more subtle, than maybe because because I guess it comes down to like what is the purpose? Like, is the purpose of that piece of art or that piece of music to only make you laugh? Well, maybe it's not only to make you laugh. Maybe there's
And
something else there.
if it is to only make you laugh, life's really
Oh
hard.
yeah, yeah, and that's fine
What a
too.
what a noble pursuit. I think on
Yeah.
some level, oh, that's our time. But I think I think I have a good statement that we're gonna all art,
Mhm.
every piece of art is trying to fill time, the very little time we have, with something. That's it, with something. And all
Yeah.
art is trying to fill the very little time we have with something, and that's the pursuit, and is to have the very small amount of time we have. It could be looking time, it could be listening time, it
Yeah.
could be feeling time with something.
With something. And it is luxury.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
luxury. It's a necessity that is a luxury.
Yeah.
How wonderful.